Hello, and welcome to Getting to Know ACS with Tracy
and Jasmine.
So today we're going to do something a little bit different, Jasmine. April is month of the military child, but it's also Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Yes.
So this one is going to be a little different because we're going to be a little more serious than we normally are.
We will try.
We will try.
I'm just kidding.
See, we had to get our joke in.
Right.
So today we're going to be talking about child abuse awareness. So one of the things that we're going to talk about with child abuse awareness is shaken baby syndrome. Mm-hmm. So part of what we do at ACS, we not only want to educate you, but we also want to be preventative, give you some tips on how to prevent being on the other side of family advocacy. So,
yes.
Where you're mandated or where you end up getting in trouble. So some of the things with child abuse awareness is shaken baby. Mm-hmm. So our guest today
it's a baby. That shows its brain. So
yes, and that's we're going to show you what happens when you shake a baby. Yeah. Okay. So when we think about shaking babies, what do you think about, Jasmine? When someone says shaken baby syndrome, what do you think happens?
Like you just toss their little brain around, like you just shook them so hard that their head's just like, help.
They're like, help.
Yeah,
okay. But why do you shake a baby? Why would you think people shake a baby?
Gosh, frustration. If you have a colicky baby who just won't stop crying, you can build that frustration if you can't get away from the situation. Maybe oh gosh, yeah.
That's what happens. So, imagine, and I'm just going to let this baby cry for a second.
I mean,
because, but this is what happens when people are frustrated. Like you said, they're frustrated. The baby's crying. The baby's colicky. They may be doing some purple crying or something like that. Mm-hmm. But out of that frustration, they will pick up their child and shake it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that, it's a really hard shake. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a really hard shake.
Oh, really?
No. So, do you want to try and see, you want to make this baby stop crying?
Like coddling it, like.
You're frustrated. Give us a demonstration of what happened.
So what do I just shake it?
Yeah, pick it up and shake it.
I'm scared. Oh my God, I just created a psychopath. It's the happy and the sad. And oh no.
See?
I ruined my baby.
But how long did it take you to make the baby stop crying?
Like 3 seconds.
3 seconds. That's all it takes. So when you pick up a child out of frustration like that, it's just a matter of seconds before you start causing damage. So for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, you can see on our baby's head is lit up. It's like lit up like a Christmas tree right now.
Yeah.
So what happens when the back of the head lights up, that area is where the child's vision is at. The back of the head controls what they see. So this area, if they damage this, when the head lit up in the back, that means that their vision has been impaired, or they can end up being blind. Okay?
Okay.
The vision impairment that happens, there's no correction. All right? Mm-hmm. That's going to be a lifelong thing. When the side of the head lit up, that's their motor skills. So a baby that could sit up, you could have it sitting up and all of a sudden it topples over. Okay? Or a baby that could crawl can no longer crawl because their motor skills have been affected by that portion of the brain. And then on the front of the head, the front lobe, that's where our emotions are and that's where our thinking process is at. Mm-hmm. And so when this front area lit up, the emotions, the baby stops crying. Because it's like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm sad, but I can't express that sadness. I'm happy, I can't express that happiness. All this happens just from that simple shake within less than 3 seconds.
Right.
Okay? So we want to make sure that people understand it's not okay to shake a child.
Right.
When you're frustrated, you want to, leave the baby, go set the baby down somewhere safe, and let the baby cry.
Yeah.
Because have you ever known a baby to die from crying alone?
I have not.
So, look, you're all...
Yeah, I'm just like,
that really messed you up, shaking that baby, didn't it?
I don't shake babies, so yeah, that's insane.
It is. And, the thing about it, like I said, you just pick up a baby thinking, okay, I'm just frustrated, I'm going to shake it.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that 1 in 4 children that are shaken like that will actually die from being shaken. The other 3 are going to be severely disabled. They're going to require care for the rest of their life. You know, their life expectancy is going to be lowered. They're not going to really have a quality of life, should we say. So this is something that if you're a spouse, you probably, unless you've had a child, you probably have never actually seen this or seen the videos, because I know when people are pregnant and they're going through their prenatal stuff, they will give you information about shaken baby. But this is something that we actually do. Our family advocacy program will go out to the units, and part of the domestic violence briefing, we have a section on child abuse, and we will actually demonstrate what happens when you shake a baby.
Right.
And it comes up so much. You know, it's like, I didn't know. And sometimes it could be anger, but sometimes when you're shaking a baby, it just, you know, when it happens, it could be just a matter of, I wasn't trying to hurt my baby.
Right.
But I actually end up hurting my baby. So we don't want to shake our baby. So the lesson is, don't shake your baby.
And there's lots of programs, right, that will help when you're frustrated. Because, like, let's say you just had a baby, your husband's deployed, it's just you have a toddler who's asking for all kinds of things like crackers and look at my picture and do this and do that, and you're just like overwhelmed. There's programs that will help. Like, you can just call the family advocacy program and we can help.
And we can give you those resources.
Yeah, to at least give you a break. Like, we got to get you to calm down, right?
Exactly. But I like that one of the things that you just mentioned is that a toddler, a lot of people are under the misconception that shaken baby only happens to infants. But the truth of the matter is, shaken baby can happen to a child all the way up to the age of 3.
What?
Yes. You can shake a toddler, and they can also suffer the effects from shaken baby.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So exactly, because like I said, because it's called shaken baby, a lot of times people think, oh, it's a baby.
Yeah.
You know, once they get bigger, let me shake them. No, don't shake. don't shake your children. That is a form of child abuse. And if you are ever in a situation, you know, like Jasmine said, just give us a call at ACS, and we can give you resources for someone who can come out and help you. You know, and that's part of, if you go back to a couple of episodes, Jessica from New Parent Support, they can come and talk to you about shaken baby and trying to get you help. Because even with the Child Crisis Center here in El Paso, which we have a MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding with them, you can actually take, you know, when you're frustrated, you can go to the Child Crisis Center, and they will give you resources and help you just to get you some time off and stuff. So,
and I want to mention, because I feel like their name does not do them justice. Like, people think the worst of this program, and the program is actually really, like, every time I speak to them, I'm just like, you guys do what? Right. They offer so much, not associated, like, just help. They're
there to help.
But I feel like the name is like, oh, if I take them there, that means I'm in trouble or something. Yeah.
No, but they offer, you know, and just like us, they offer parenting classes too, for those who are not in the military. But we, like I said, we do have a memorandum of understanding, so we do work hand in hand with the Child Crisis Center, because, you know, with ACS, we don't deal with child abuse. So, you know, if you suspect child abuse, of course you can call us and we will give you information. But do keep in mind that in Texas, in the state of Texas, everybody is a mandated reporter for child abuse.
Yes.
And how do you report? Ask me.
Oh. Well, are you asking yourself? Yes. Tell me how you report.
So, good question, Jasmine. So how you report? You can report, of course, you can call the Child Abuse Hotline. Yeah. And that number is 1-800-252-5400. For those who don't want to call, you can also go online and report it, and you just go to texasabusehotline.org, and you can type in the information. So when you do call the Child Abuse Hotline, or you go online, you are completely anonymous. You know, so you don't have to worry. It's like, oh, my neighbor, I see him over there doing something, and they're going to be mad at me because I reported. So you're anonymous. They're not going to tell them where the report came from. Now, when you call the hotline number, you don't have to say your name.
Right.
You can just give the details. But if you go online, you do have to type in your name.
Okay.
But you're still anonymous. And in both cases, you get a control number, so that it proves that you called. Because, like I said, we're all mandated reporters here in Texas.
Well, since you say that, let's talk about the consequences of not reporting an incident. So let's say somebody is witnessing maybe child abuse. They suspect it, right? But they're just like, well, that's my sister's kids, and I don't want to say anything because I don't want to get involved. What are some consequences they will face if they find out that this person knew about the child abuse? They
can actually be charged as well. If you're not, if you have witnessed child abuse and you didn't report it, you can also be charged. If they find out that you were in the home when the child abuse happened and you witnessed it and didn't do anything, you can be put on trial for child abuse just like the person who committed the act. And, like I said, we do a briefing for this for our soldiers, and the family members don't often get a chance to go to these briefings ever. But there was a case some years ago where a young soldier, he actually, his 18-year-old cousin, had came here to visit for the summer, and he was keeping his daughter. He was babysitting you don't babysit your own kid. But he was in charge of taking care of his daughter. And what happened, the daughter, she soiled her diaper, and they were playing video games. And, she disturbed them while they were playing the video games. The soldier, he didn't shake her, but he did beat her. Yeah. And he put her back in the bed. She didn't make a sound for a little while, went back into the room. She was unresponsive at that time. Then they called the ambulance. They came and, they revived the little girl, but then on the way to the hospital, they pronounced her dead. So what happened in that case, the soldier, of course, he was charged and convicted. His cousin, like I said, 18 years old, staying there with him for the summer, guess what? He got charged. And he didn't do anything. Well, he witnessed it. He witnessed it. Yeah. He got charged and convicted because he didn't report it. Right. And this is one of the things that's really important about when you look at child abuse, family dynamics. Because, if I grow up in a family where, getting that switch, getting that... what is it, a chocolate, the shoe? Yeah, the shoe. The shoe, a wooden spoon. Yeah.
Other objects that are reachable.
Yeah, and you're used to that because you grew up with that, and you're like, oh, it was fine. I got spankings, I got this. Yeah. But laws change, and as the laws change, then, we have to adjust. So you may have grown up in a family where that was okay, and now you have your own family and you think it's okay, right, but it's not. And so, even though his cousin, we don't know what their family dynamic was. Maybe that was normal, and or maybe he didn't want to cause any rift. I was like, oh, it's his daughter. It's not my business. Yeah, because that happens a lot. It's like, oh, those are your kids. It's not my business what you doing with them.
But, and people get really mad when you intervene, right? Like that can be an issue too.
Exactly.
So, that's so hard.
It's like a slippery slope kind of thing. So, what do you do? Right. And that's the question that we often get asked is like, what do you do when you're witnessing abuse like out in public? Yeah. Do you jump in and intervene? Because then are they gonna come at me? So if I don't know, there's commercials that are out there, but like if you see a child and you see that a parent is struggling with that child, you don't have to say anything to the child, but to the parent, but sometimes you can do something to distract the child, like, hey, aren't you so cute, or whatever. Yeah. Or, the worst thing that you can do, though, is look at the parent and be like, really? You gonna let that kid scream and holler in here? Yeah. Because then that adds that frustration. And then that frustration could lead to them, that embarrassment So,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
people just need help sometimes too, right? Like sometimes they just have 5 kids and this one kid is exhausted and just acting out.
right.
And no, like people just stare sometimes and it's like, hey, like I swear I'm not going to kidnap your kid, but how can I help? Right?
Exactly.
Like,
Sometimes just asking how can
Yeah.
and you know what? It doesn't even have to be 5 kids because you may have one child that acts like 5 kids.
you're right.
You know, it's like, oh, 5 kids is like.
Yeah, but I feel like that's more of the scenario that you kind of see where it's like just overwhelming and then, you know, she's
He or she
yeah.
is by themselves and they don't know what to do. So, you know, we have to be really aware of our reactions. But like I was saying, in the state of Texas, if you are a witness to abuse or you suspect it and you don't report it and they find out that you were there, you could actually be charged.
Right.
And, you know, and especially when it comes to children, we want to err on the side of life because, you know, some people are like, oh, I shouldn't report because I don't know if, you know, if it's really happening. And sometimes, you know, we need to go with our gut feelings to know that it's really, you know,
Yeah.
if we suspect it.
Yeah.
And there's been laws that have been put in place because of, you know, the severity of child abuse. And like I said, we come out, you know, our new parent support, they can come out there and talk to you, you know, if you feel like you're on that edge or something like that. But we just needed to take the time to do this awareness to let people know that it's something serious. So
Yeah, especially because like with the force that I was shaking the baby, it wasn't full frustration. It was just kind of like shake, shake.
Yeah, because you were scared.
Right. I was. Yes. But, you know, because I don't want to see all the lights freak me out. I'm just like, I don't want to hurt this, you know, fake toy. But in a real instance, like it's actually not a lot of force. It's not even where somebody gets mad and like punches a wall. Like I can only imagine what happens at that amount of force.
Exactly. And the thing I want to point out about this baby too is the fact that this baby is about it's life size, you know, life size, and it's also the same weight as a baby would be.
Right.
You know, so like you said, that shake that. So imagine if you were really frustrated and you picked it up, and then in 3 seconds, you know, and that's the funny thing. Well, it's not funny, but the thing is when we're doing these trainings out in person, and soldiers will want to say, "Oh, I want to shake the baby," until they get up there,
you freak out, right?
It's like. I don't, because they don't realize how real this baby actually feels.
Right.
So, you know, like I said, we took a step back today, you know, just to, we want to recognize that it is child abuse awareness and we want to bring awareness to our community. But if you're out there and you need assistance, if you're feeling frustrated, remember, we are here to help you.
Yes.
You know, we are definitely here to help because we don't want to see any child.
No.
You know, one child, like I said, 1 in 3 that actually dies from shaken baby, that's one too many.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that our community is aware of what's going on and that we do have resources. You know, whether it be if you are in a situation where you're stressing out or you're angry or whatever's going on, what do we have for them? You know.
Yeah. And just call FAP, right? Like, even if you're just like, I'm not sure they can help, just call. Like, don't go there. Just call and see what we could do because we're going to provide something. Something is there's going to be an answer. So,
you know, at ACS, if we don't know the answer, we will find the answer.
Yes.
We will get the answer for you. And, you know, we have our stress management classes. We have our anger management classes.
The parenting classes.
The parenting classes, you know, to let you know how do I handle a baby that is colicky. And maybe I have a child, like you said, that, you know, maybe does require some more attention.
Right.
And they frustrate me or whatever. How do I deal with that child? And our parenting classes are a great way to learn about this, you know. And then, you know, with our new parent support, being able to check that baby out and, you know, and get our life babies, check those out. And if you really want to experience, we could put it on hard where that baby is crying constantly. You know, so we just want our community to know that we're here for them.
And it's a no judgment zone. I feel like most of us have children and we know, like, I have I'm just like, help me, somebody. Like, we know how frustrating it can be, especially when you're going through it alone and they're just crying and you've done the diaper change, done feeding, you've done rocking. Like, what do you want, right?
Right.
Like, it's no judgment.
It's exactly, and I think that's important. There is no judgment. So not only is shaking a baby or a toddler, not only is that abusive, but as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that you're not hitting your child with any type of object, Yeah. And I know there are some people who very much advocate, I need to spank my child. And just so you know, in the state of Texas, or at least here in El Paso, if you are going to put your hands on your child, it's an open palm to the buttocks through clothing. And if you leave a mark on that child, it has to be gone in 24 hours.
Right. So I do want to mention the one that shocked me the most, just because
I didn't know.
I didn't know. But like when you're in the store and your kid, you could just tell your kid is coming down with a tantrum, and you're just like, I'm gonna pinch you. You can't pinch.
No. No.
So yeah, I was just like, what? Like that's like a wake up call. But now, we just gotta
stop pinching your child, Jasmine.
I don't anymore.
Okay, but that is true.
Yeah, right. I didn't know that.
It is. If because a pinch leaves a bruise.
Well, no, I didn't pinch him that hard, but it was just kind of like a quick hey, shape up, right?
Yeah, we're parents. I'm not gonna tell what all I did. I've been accused of hitting somebody with a wooden spoon, but I didn't do it.
Yeah,
they made that memory up. I don't know where they got it from, but I know better. We do better when we know better.
Right.
So that's what we're here for. We've all had our experiences where we may have lost our temper or whatever, but we corrected it.
Yeah.
So like I said, just because you were hit with a wooden spoon, don't hit your child with a wooden spoon.
Right.
So
I do need the pinching, but I'm not gonna do it. But now I say it. I'm like, pinch. And they're just like, okay.
Conditioning.
I'm just like, I need something.
It's just the fact that I did it before, but so.
Right. But that's why it's child abuse awareness, right?
To become aware, because a lot of people are like, what? I can't do that to my child. No, you can't.
Right.
So.
And it's not common sense. Like a lot of it is not, but I guess like seeing the effects of like how, because like what, talking down to them could be child abuse.
Yeah, that's considered, that would be emotional neglect. That's why in the briefings, a lot of times I'll talk to people and I'll tell them, be mindful of the nicknames you give your kids.
Yeah.
Because, little fat, when they're little might be cute, but then when they're older and you're still calling them fat, that's emotionally, know.
And you said what? Lazy, right? Like calling your kid lazy. Okay. So I did do that, but I was just like, we
all have.
When you don't clean the kitchen correctly, it makes me feel like you're being lazy that day. I really have to address what I say, because I just want to be like, girl.
Yeah, and it, and this comes into some of the other classes that we talk about as well, but what we speak to our child is what they become.
Yeah.
So if you keep telling your child, you are lazy, you are no good, guess what they're going to grow up to be?
I know.
Lazy and no good. So, instead of speaking that to your child, then you want to make sure that you're speaking life into your child.
Yeah.
And, and I like how you reframe that to say, that's really lazy of you or whatever, but not calling them lazy directly.
Right.
And, this is something that as my granddaughter was getting older, we came up with, or I should say my son came up with, instead of saying terrible twos, because everybody like, oh, we're going into the terrible twos. So you have a terrible two, you're going to have a terrible two, but instead we reframed it and it's like, it's the terrific twos.
Yeah.
So now you're going to be a terrific 2-year-old, versus being a terrible 2-year-old. Words have meaning.
True, that is true.
So and especially in young minds, when we speak to them, we want to make sure that we're speaking life into our kids.
Yeah.
And we want them to know that they can do anything. We don't want to speak down to them. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's all about awareness, and that's what we are here for, So during the month of April, just hug your kids a little tighter.
Yeah.
So that they know that you love them.
Yes. And just remember, the twos, they're just curious. Everything is so new. They're just, that's my favorite stage though, because they're just like, oh, what is this? And it's like, I wish I was that excited. Like,
again. Yes, let's take you back to your childhood.
But yeah.
So yeah. So, you know, I usually ask our guests. I can't ask our guests today,
Yeah.
but I usually ask our guests what brings them joy. And for me, and then I'll turn it over to you, but
Yeah.
for me is when I did do the briefings and stuff like that, that to see the light bulb come on in somebody's head to say, I didn't realize that my actions were affecting my child like that.
Yeah.
And that just, you know, it'll bring tears to your eyes. Or just to have someone come up to me after, you know, after a briefing and just say, thank you. That just brings me joy. So,
Yeah.
and, you know, you haven't been here that long, but what brings you joy, Jasmine? That's a hard one.
I haven't done like briefings or anything, but I think the learning, like having an answer for somebody that may be going through that situation, and it's like where people are like super rude to their, and I'm like, hey, like you should think about like what you're actually doing to that child long term, right? And then when you break it down and you kind of see the light bulb, and they're just like, I didn't know that, and I was like, yeah, me either, but you know, we're ruining our kids, so let's get it together.
Let's get it together. But yeah, so you know, it's just so much, you know, that we need to do. But we just wanted to take a time out, you know, today and during this month of April to let us, you know, celebrate our children because it is Military Child, but also be aware that abuse does happen, and we want you to be aware of that child abuse.
Yeah.
Okay, so Child Abuse Awareness Month, April. Here we are.
Yep.
All right, and so with that, we're going to give it to a close, and then we'll be back on our regular stint on the next podcast.
Yeah.
All right, so until next time.
You're supposed to say this is Tracy.
I forgot because I don't have a guest. This is Tracy.
And Jasmine. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell.
Bye.
Bye.